Have you ever noticed that one person who never posts a single picture online?
No selfies, no birthday fotos, no vacation snapshots.
In a world obsessed with showing everything, they show nothing. And because of that, people often assume they're shy, insecure, or hiding something. But psychology says the complete opposite. Their silence online isn't an accident, it's a clue. A clue to how they think, how they feel, and how they understand themselves. Today, we're decoding the real psychology behind people who don't post their photos on social media, and trust me, the reasons are far deeper than you might expect. 1. Privacy over popularity. Psychologists say that people who rarely post pictures online tend to score high on something called privacy orientation, a personality trait that reflects how much someone values control over their personal information. While most people feel pressured to share their lives, these individuals feel pressured not to. For them, privacy isn't about secrecy. It's about peace. They prefer to choose who sees their life, instead of broadcasting it to thousands of strangers. They want to control how their image is interpreted, how their story is told, and how people form opinions about them. And here's the interesting part. People with strong privacy boundaries are often more secure, not less. They don't need public praise to validate their life choices. They don't need the world to witness a moment for it to matter. While many people use social media to feel visible, these individuals feel visible to the people that matter, and that's enough for them. 2. Strong self-awareness. Research on self-concept clarity, basically how clearly you know who you are, shows that people who post less online tend to have a more stable sense of identity. They're not easily influenced by trends. They're not shaped by public approval. And they don't need digital applause to feel grounded. They know who they are when the phone is off. They know who they are when no one is watching. This kind of inner clarity protects them from the constant pressure to perform, pose, or compare. They're less caught up in needing to keep up with online lifestyles. Their identity isn't built on how others respond to them, and that's one of the rarest forms of confidence. 3. Emotional security and inner confidence. Posting less is strongly linked to secure self-esteem, a type of confidence that doesn't depend on likes, comments, or recognition. People with secure self-esteem don't constantly check who viewed their story, who liked their photo, or who didn't. Their emotional world isn't tied to a screen. Psychologists describe them as internal anchors, people whose stability comes from their values, their purpose, and their personal standards. They don't post pictures to prove anything. They don't need attention to feel worthy. They don't need an audience to feel important. This emotional maturity lets them focus more on real goals, personal growth, career, relationships, and experiences that don't need to be captured to be meaningful. 4. Deep thinkers, not performers. People who post less often think more. They are more introspective, more observant, and often more thoughtful about their choices. Many of them have what psychologists call an internal locus of evaluation, meaning they rely on their own judgment, not approval from others. They live life for themselves, not for spectators. That's why they don't feel the need to constantly upload photos. If they do share something, it's usually intentional, meaningful, authentic, not because they want to impress, but because it matters to them personally. In psychology, this often aligns with reflective personalities, people who enjoy depth, privacy, and genuine interactions over superficial online engagement. 5. They understand the digital illusion. Here's a psychological truth. Social media is not real life. It's a highlight reel. People who rarely post their photos often understand this better than anyone. They know how easily social media can twist reality, how filters, angles, likes, and curated moments can create illusions that have nothing to do with real happiness. Psychologists call this social comparison theory, the tendency to measure your worth against the polished lives of others. People who avoid posting often do so to protect their mental health. They don't want to participate in a competition that doesn't exist. They don't want to perform a life instead of living one. They don't want to fall into the trap of comparing their reality to someone else's edited moment. Their refusal to play the game is not fear. It's awareness. 6. They value genuine relationships. Another major psychological reason is that people who post less often prioritize real connections over digital visibility. They invest their energy in people they actually talk to, spend time with, and care about, not in an audience they barely know. Their social circle may be small, but it's deep. Their friendships may be fewer, but they're real. They don't need to prove their relationships online. People who value emotional intimacy often feel no need to broadcast their lives. They don't need to prove who they are with. Their connections exist offline, in conversations, in shared moments, and in private memories. 7. They're less influenced by trends and pressure. While social media often pushes people to participate, to post, follow trends, keep up with challenges, selfies, aesthetics, and lifestyles, people who don't post are often immune to that pressure. They don't care if it's what everyone is doing. They don't feel the need to document moments. They don't live for the algorithm. This independence comes from a psychological trait called autonomy orientation, living life according to your own values, even when society expects something different. These people move differently, think differently, and express themselves differently. 8. They avoid unnecessary judgment. Posting your photo exposes you to opinions, good and bad. Some people simply choose not to invite unnecessary judgment into their life. They don't want strangers analyzing their appearance, lifestyle, or choices. They'd rather keep their peace than open the door to unwanted criticism. In psychology, this is called selective self-presentation, choosing what parts of yourself you reveal and what parts you protect. It's not insecurity. It's intelligence. 9. They prefer living over documenting. People who don't post much often prefer experiencing life instead of recording it. When something beautiful happens, they don't take out the camera first. They take in the moment. They feel it. They enjoy it. To them, memories don't need to be captured to be real. This trait connects to something called mindful attention, the ability to be fully present without distraction. These individuals don't need proof of a moment because they lived it fully. Final thoughts. So the next time you see someone who never posts their photos online, don't assume they're shy, antisocial, or hiding something. Often, the truth is the opposite. They're confident. They're grounded. They're self-aware. They're emotionally secure. They're private by choice, not by fear. They don't need to be seen to feel seen. And that is a level of confidence many people never reach. If you love understanding why people think, feel, and behave the way they do, hit subscribe because here, we don't just watch lives, we decode minds.